Uh,
We are live
oh,
and
I
caught you
never,
in the middle of
I
drinking
never,
something.
I never got a countdown. I never. Oh man, I'm off my game today. No game. I
I
got
was
no
like, oh, he's
game.
just gonna drink right through that countdown, isn't he?
All right. Hey, I'm Craig Martelle coming to you from the subarctic live from Alex's basement because that's what I have to do to get internet here. I drive into town and I sit in Alex's basement, which he has very graciously offered and hangs out upstairs. And I had a cookie bar that tasted very much like a brown sugar cinnamon Pop Tart, except like 10 times better. So I shall go back upstairs
Mm.
and eat maybe all the rest of them. Huh?
I have
Uh,
yes, I do have brown sugar cinnamon Pop Tarts in my house for those times when I'm looking at it going, I just want to feel like a kid again. And they're freaking delicious.
they
With
are. They're
ice cold milk,
incomparable.
you know.
We would take those into the field in the Marine Corps.
Did you
Brown sugar
really?
cinnamon, absolutely, because they come in that little packet, the little
Uh-huh,
foil
the
packet,
foil.
and of course, carrying them around for a day. If you could last 2 days without eating them, they'd be completely crumbled, and you just pour them into your mouth like a hot chocolate mix, which we also took and actually never made hot chocolate with. We just drank it out of
How can you
the
do that?
thing.
It doesn't cause your mouth just to sit there and pucker up because all that need of the liquid?
If you really believe in yourself, you can choke it down.
All right. Captions.
And it'll stay with you forever until you salivate enough to swallow it.
A whole coating in your mouth. All the behind the scenes, behind the
I have
military.
so much chocolate. Oh, and today one thing I posted is SPF 101. I'm going to give away 2 of those courses Thursday while I'm talking with Mark Leslie Lefebvre on the CNM show.
So it's not Mark Dawson that you're going to give it on. You're going to talk to Mark Leslie Lefebvre and give out Mark
Yeah,
Dawson stuff. Okay,
that's
just
right.
clarified.
That's right. That's right. Indeed.
Did
Give away a
something
couple courses and for our folks.
did something with Mark. Apparently Judith was reaching out to him because he's engaging on something else with us, and she said, hey, if there's anything we can ever do for you, let us know. Well, he had been an opportunity came up. He was doing an anthology for people, giving them a chance to get paid by the word and everything else, and he was doing it with Dean Wesley Smith and Christine Catherine Rush, something I think he's
Yeah,
done quite often. And so he was doing a Kickstarter, I guess, or a Patreon, whatever, the one that allows you to do multiple settings. And it's for horror,
yeah,
which isn't my bag whatsoever, but it's
yeah.
Mark. And so he reached out and said, hey, yes, if you guys could mention this and this Kickstarter, this Patreon, I frankly can't remember which.
It was
Was
Kickstarter.
it?
Yeah,
Okay.
for Obsessions, I believe was
Yes.
the book.
The perfume obsession. So anyway, long story short, Um, Judith mentioned it to me. I went looking. He had the $666 go kill your friend offer. And there's 3 of them. So as many times as Mike Bray has thrown me under the bus and said, "Oh yeah, I told them that you'd give them money." So I called him up. Said, "Hey, you got an extra $666? I know you do.
I know you do.
I know you do." So
Go
got
buy
him to
those.
do it, and then Dakota, I was like, I owe him because he's always playing tricks and shit. He played a trick a few weeks ago that Rick rolled me. So I'm like, that Rick roll is worth 666. It's Canadian, so it's only like
Yeah,
500 and something dollars.
yeah,
But
yeah. It's almost free.
exactly. Oh, that was funny.
Oh, I saw. I because it was horror. I never clicked into it, but
Uh-huh.
then I saw you had done that. And I'm like, oh, damn it! I would have paid to have somebody killed.
I thought about
Not
having you do
me.
it.
Not me.
I thought about having you do it, and I go, I always hit you up. Always. You're always, and I'm like, no, because you and I for like a year and a half, man, we were giving, and what
Yeah, we
happened
gave a
was
lot
a
of
lot
money
of,
away.
yeah. So I thought I'd save you this time and do the Rick roller, and the person who always makes me pay money. So so
Right.
that was fun.
Yeah, yeah. What Hey, in Vegas, Cleaver is the place that we'll be going for steak.
That's what I understand. It's both excellent food and inexpensive, according to who did you
But
get the name?
my turn to buy. Jeff Cheney.
Same
Jeff
guy.
Cheney. So I'll get so we'll get Jeff and Richard Fox and
Yeah.
on my treat. How inexpensive?
Half, not
My treat.
cut or steak or wherever the hell you took everyone to that last time.
Oh Jesus. Yeah, yeah. In in my latest thriller, they go to a dude ranch and they cook steaks the old Texas way.
Yeah, which is what?
Well done, well done. So they have a hard time getting enough Heinz 57 to be able to choke these steaks down. So, so that yeah, and they make fun of poor Mabel. But anyway, that's the that was book 2 in my thriller series, and I have to say the my insider team, I'm killing them because they all said I couldn't put it down. I read it to the end, and I'm exhausted. So for those who do work for LMBPN as well, I'm sorry. They'll be under the weather today because they spent all night reading my book.
That's quite all right. They're adults. They know what they need to do, but that's good, man. That's good news. Man, there's a beautiful
Yeah,
bird. I have no idea what it is out in front of me.
and okay, well, I already said where I'm coming from, and also it's Tuesday. Where are you coming to us from, Michael?
Henderson from my backyard. It's a beautiful 60, it's like 70 degrees right now. The winter has, or fall has finally arrived. More than like a day, it's a tease, and then back to 112 degrees. So I thought I would just enjoy it out here and got plugged in. So, you're stuck with me. I won't run out of battery.
Good to go. Good to go. I am not plugged in, but I have this awesome Chromebook or Surface Pro 4 that I bought used, and it is working great. The battery
Oh,
lasts just
fantastic.
about forever. So here we are. We're going to talk today, and Michael, before we started, Michael talked about marketing and advertising because yesterday when we talked, I said that hey, my spend is down like half of what it was, and also oh hey, look at this, my revenue is down a little bit, not half, but down a skosh, and
You called it a wash, and I
and Michael
reminded you,
was the
no, it wasn't.
yeah, because read through, and one of the big things that we're looking for when we advertise is we want to get our books into the hands of new readers because of the potential for read through, because we have so many books that follow all of our first in series that we get a new reader on board. That is a huge windfall. Or can even a KU reader, those are a lot of page reads that we can get if we keep them entertained. So getting
Yeah.
that first book. So my spend went down, and this month's revenue went down and a wash because now I didn't spend and I didn't make, but I made. I'm still profitable.
Yeah.
But now the future next month, I guarantee it'll be down, especially on page reads, because I didn't get that first book into as many people's hands as I did last month or the month before.
Rob dissed your computer, which was my,
The
well, wait,
Zune. hey, suck my. I had a Zune. Damn it.
so did I. It was cool. For about 3
It, it,
months.
it worked great just until it didn't.
Yeah, so the reason that happened is, so you asked earlier before we got on, you had asked, what are we going to talk about? I said, why don't we talk about that situation you talked about yesterday, just advertising in general, allow people to ask us questions, because more than likely we won't think of stuff to tell you just because it's part of everything else we're doing. But yeah, so you had mentioned that, and the fact that, I asked you, it's like, what happened? How did you go by half? What did you get your eye off the ball? Was it just a situation where you had done it on purpose because September's a month after what, why? Why did it happen?
The the cost per click had gone down, and we had lowered our bids to the point that hey, we were spending money. We had lowered our bids and upped our daily spend, what we could spend on those ads, and they were servicing great. A couple months ago, we spent like $5,000 on Facebook ads, but then all of a sudden, everybody else is like, "Geez, I better dive back into the market." And TradPub is they made all their September releases, And I think the cost per click and the ads prices went up, and now ours were no longer getting serviced. Mine, we're no longer getting service. So all of a sudden, I realized I got a notice from Facebook. Hey, we spent your $900. I'm like, holy shit! Oh no! And I went back and I'm like, oh no! So yeah. So I spent like $1,500 this month as of 2 days ago, when my targeted spend was like $5,000. Okay, yeah, that's $3,500 I didn't spend, but also that's an investment in the future, because we're thinking long term. Need to get those books into people's hands so they can keep reading through.
Yeah. So that's how come it happened to you. Is there ever a good reason, do you think, to, we could go back to like when COVID happened and a lot of people dropped out of the market. It is
Yeah,
never my first effort to think stop spending. I read enough books 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago, just from just general books, and they talk about anytime there's a down, a depression, anything, you spend into it, because it takes away a lot of the people who are Johnny come latelys, if you will, jumping on it, and it wipes them out. And this,
we're
by the way,
cash tight. Yep.
yeah, cash tight. And then and it might not actually show that you are going to make, scads of money, but your cost will be less, right? The cost per click was less. That's what you were talking about. We lowered some of ours, absolutely, but we didn't lower any of our budgets. And what happens is when everything comes back, you now have all of those people, and so when they come back in trying to grab people again, they're already part of you. So you were there the whole time, and that's how you come out of it stronger.
Oh, and one thing I did, thanks to James Baldwin, he got me rolling with a Facebook ad. Once we put a full science fiction book up as our reader magnet, and a good one. This isn't just an average book. It's a good standalone book and representative of style. And once we got that up, I mean, we're picking up 25, 30 new subscribers every single day
Hmm.
at 36 cents a click, or 36 cents a name that makes it to the end of the onboarding sequence. Because I'm picking them up at
Fantastic.
19 cents a name for their email, but by the time they get, so it's a total of 36 cents out the door for every new name that hits the end of the onboarding sequence, and that's 3 for $1. And these are quality. They've already seen one book and 5 short stories and one short audiobook, an hour and a half long audio story of mine, and they still want to stay on board. So these are high quality subscribers. I've added almost 2,000 over the course of the last 2 months. And
Yeah,
I'm pretty stoked about that,
you
because
should
these
be.
are, like you said, I got these new readers for my stuff, and that opportunity was there. Now that spend is still cranking, because that's one that we really tenderly
Dialed in.
care for. Yep, yep.
Hmm. I'm gonna have to have David talk to you and James. Uh, that's
What'd you do?
that.
You've got enough books, Michael. You need that one representative book that you can say, hey, this is we're taking it out of KU, and it's going to be perma-free or something, and then start hitting the readers with, here's a great example of our stuff. Check it out and come on board.
Yeah, that I was gonna mention also. It's one of the differences between, like, say, myself and you. I find myself at a different level of having to do things both in the weeds with beats and then at the high level because of different focuses. Yet you're able to really nail in something you and I talked about 8 months ago, right? And I have to go back, and I know that there are individuals in the company that are focused on acquisition of these of names. But even though I was in a marketing meeting last week, I looked at the numbers. I right now could not tell you what did that average per month. I can't tell you
Hmm.
because I don't remember what happened. It's like, okay, I see the numbers and went through some of my questions, and then I was off to the next thing. And I'm like, I'm dropping the ball.
Yeah, because I'm picking up a net gain of 600 to 700 new subscribers a month,
Yeah.
very specifically targeted on Craig Martelle books. And that is, I think it's doable by anyone. But and it's right in Mark Dawson's course, and he gives away 3 books. Hey, here's the best example of me. Come on board, and I think Mark has over 100,000 subscribers on his list. But he's like, they know, hey, here's me. This is what you're getting. And I think going to that full book was the biggest win. Well, and then also we set up a separate page on my website, very specific, so we can parse how people get there in order to then collect that data to better refine. Okay, this came from a Facebook ad. This came from the back of a book. This came from wherever.
Mm-hmm.
And we funnel them through that before they go over to BookFunnel, get their free book, and join the onboarding sequence through SendFox.
Okay. That sounds complicated, Craig.
I got people. That's not me. That's Rob McClellan does my website. James Baldwin is the integral factor there, who's then set up the Facebook ad and worked this. I provided the book, and then these other guys worked the magic. And and then setting up SendFox and the onboarding sequence, that's all good stuff. Actually, James set that up as well for me. We went through it, and it's like, yes, we keep tweaking the language to make sure that we keep people on board. Sendcheckit.com. If you want to check your subject line on your emails, my last one, 99%, I got it from SendCheckit. And I sent my email, and it was 51% on my my open rate.
Damn, dude.
Because it had dropped down to like 40-some%, but got it up to 51% on a 99% SendCheckit. Actually, I'm going with anything 97% or higher. I keep wickering the subject line until we get that. So marketing and talking with Carlin Robertson from BookBub this morning, one of the big issues is that reader experience and going from, hey, we service this ad, we service this featured deal, somebody clicks on it, then what do? And this is BookBub doesn't get that data once they click on it. They get that. But then the conversion rate. And we as indies are responsible for determining our conversion rate to make sure that we're getting our money's worth. If you get 100 clicks and you only get one sale, you got a problem. This is something that 30, 20, 10. 10 or less is now you're in the nirvana zone. But if you're paying 50 cents a
10,
click.
10 less, what are you talking about? So what is the 30, 20, 10?
If you're getting 30 clicks, a conversion for every 30 clicks, and then a conversion for every 20, and then a conversion for every 10 and below, this is where your nirvana zone. The best I ever had for a short period during an ad was 4-to-1, a sale for every 4 clicks. That's huge. And if you see that you're spending 50 cents on a click, hey, that's cool. But you're getting a conversion every 10 clicks. Well, that's $5 you just paid for that one person. I'm willing to do that with the backlist on a book one in a 10-book series. But you still understand you just paid $5 for that one person. So understand, and if you can get that down to 10 or 5, now your cost per buyer, your conversion, that's where you make your money. So what can help that convert? Once they click, now you're into the will they make the sale or not? That's your blurb. That's that look inside. That's your book. And then going to the next book, that's read through. And read through that's on you.
Yes, absolutely. So if I said, okay, Craig, you can't have Amazon, you can't have Facebook, you can't have BookBub, what would you do? And slicing your wrist.
I'd be sending well, I'd be sending letters to traditional publishers saying, "Hey, can you publish my shit?" I like those 3 outlets, but then I would be advertising more traditionally, like Publishers Weekly, getting a quarter-page ad. IBPA, the International Book Publishers or Independent Book Publishers Association, they have a newsletter that goes out that you can buy space in that gets you visibility with libraries. Go wide and deal with other things, deal with the other retailers in order to then promote your stuff. Kobo, try to get a Kobo daily deal through Kobo directly. There are other things to do, but if I didn't have Amazon ads or Facebook, I wouldn't be in KU. I would be wide and using the direct platforms and their capabilities to target readers.
Okay. Kevin McLaughlin would like, what about Google Ads? You got nothing.
You can pay. You could pay a hellacious amount of money on Google Ads and get zero for your efforts.
We've
Google
done
Ads are
that.
very difficult to figure out. I don't think I haven't heard it from anyone who has been really successful multiple times with different books with Google Ads.
Yeah, I haven't either. I mean, we kept trying. We actually were able to contact a person who actually had a Google course, and for whatever reason, books just didn't convert. I think newsletters would be another one, either swaps or purchases. I don't know if it's
Yeah,
done outside of romance, but I do know that a lot of romance authors who have spots in their own newsletter, they would sell them for 15, 20, 25 bucks a pop. You just, piece together enough of them because,
yeah.
romance is romance. And so, uh, Kevin, you're going to have to put up or shut up on that Google ad part.
I well, as a lack of platform, direct contact with readers, and this is where none of us are as smart as all of us. If you have readers on board and they can read more than you've written, then getting access to those through a swap, and that's something
Mm-hmm.
we don't get this year because there is no 20 Books Vegas. You don't get to look somebody in the face and say, yes, I can trust this person. And a lot of swapping and that kind of stuff happens through networking. So you
Mm-hmm.
just be a good person and do your best to keep pushing with finding those new readers. So not push the readers, not push yourself. Hey, buy my book. I mean, don't do that. But you want to come across as as someone who helps out. Anthologies. This is another thing. We've got a number of different anthologies in the works right now, and get a short story in there because that's quick and easy access, and you didn't have to ask anybody, hey, can you share my book? They're going to, because they're going to share your story, which is an example of you. So once again, if you're in an anthology, write the absolute best story you can write, and then make sure your landing page is right. And this goes to the conversions. You don't want to work all this time, and this is something that Mark Dawson learned. He BookBub a feature deal on his first book and gave away 55,000 copies, and his back matter was screwed up. He didn't have his newsletter in there or anything for where those people could go to after reading his book. So he said, hey, very expensive lesson learned. 55,000 advertising copies, and people would have had to search to try to find them as opposed to one click easy. So set yourself up to win. Make it easy for those folks who want to find you.
So it's, instead of it be like Mike, it's don't be like Mark. Is that the
Don't be like Mark. Well, no, it's and that's 20 books to 50K. SPF, the community, the open side, it's about learning lessons without having to experience it yourself.
Yeah.
And we push back matter hard. You got to get the back matter right. You got to get the formatter, the formatter. I don't know what it is. The stuff that comes before your book, you got to get that right. The front matter, that's it.
The front matter.
The foreskinner. Let me get my foreskin under control here. You made me do it.
I
You made
didn't
me
do
do it.
anything.
It's too much steamy romance. Those people are out of control. I'm telling you.
Hello, Facebook user. Sorry,
you need to go hang out over
say
there.
The name. The romance.
The steamy romance. The 20 books to 50K steamy.
No, I would
anthology.
I would blush. I would just Just the whole concept makes me blush. Yeah, I'm sorry.
You need to go over there. I think there's some Chuck Tingle covers over there too. That I was trying to fight him, man. I just couldn't. I was buried.
What did they?
So I gave them my
out?
version of. No. They were man-chesting, and I had my version of man-chests on the Chuck Tingle covers. There's a polar vortex in my buck, and he is handsome. Anybody who thinks we're
can someone please ask a question?
Normal?
Get this man off of that, please, for the love of just everything holy. Self-publishing 101 or ads for authors? Which one would you recommend?
It depends where you are in your journey. This is what I would say, because SPF 101 is about the foundational building of your business. we do a lot of that here in 20 Books to 50K. We spend a lot of time talking about getting set up, building your brand, doing your author page, and things like that. But really, the thing that will take you to the next level once you're established is the ads for authors. And you get lifetime access with it. So any changes, I think there's a BookBub in the next iteration. There will be a whole module on BookBub ads. So if you bought it before, hey, look for the new class, look for that BookBub ad module, all updated. Amazon ads, Janet Margot did those, and look at those, and up your game. Take the lessons seriously. It's not just buying the course isn't going to help you, just like buying a leadership book isn't going to make you a good leader. You actually have to read the book and then see what applies to you and how you can apply it to what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it. It just depends where you are in your journey. A lot of people have taken both and benefited from both, but it depends. Are you established? Do you already have your newsletter? Do you already run a few ads and have that foundation set up?
Okay, so Lane says Mark recommends taking 101 first, not doing ads for authors until you've got a few books out and ready for launch. A Chuck Tingle style anthology. I think Rob is calling you out, Craig, to put up or shut up there.
He also said my Stylin Surface Pro Laptop 4 was a Zune. Rob is dead to me. He called my laptop a Zune. Well,
Oh,
the
well.
Steamy one actually is all inclusive, so a Chuck Tingle style story would fit in there.
Okay. M, F, P, Q, all of the letters are represented.
Yeah, well, Chuck, it's open to all, and it's seeing some of the stuff because Lassarian McMaster is sharing. Here's the first 500 words from people. I just call her Lass. I can't pronounce her name completely, so Lass. And they're really gripping. They're engaging. They're a great lead in. And this is the thing. It's such a great learning experience for everybody regarding the genre, the tropes, either steamy or sweet, and how to progress from there, how to set that hook and keep the reader on board. And this is how you sell more books. You write a great story, and people are learning, and Lass is showing them how.
Nice.
It's a great thing with those anthologies.
That is really good. Yeah, so from a standpoint of advertising, what do you think, or have you heard anything, or has anyone out in the comments cared for any of the other ones, whether it be TikTok or the image, just all the different social media that's out there now, Twitter, any of them?
Instagram. I know one person who claims some success with Twitter. And that's it. I know a lot of authors. You know a lot of authors. Instagram, people are having better experience with Instagram, especially like the cozy authors who then also share a recipe and they show pictures of, hey, I made this recipe. Oh, it just happens to be in this book, Witches and Wardrobes. And look at this. It made cake. Everybody likes cake. So, and these kinds of things on Instagram, you keep those readers and you build that readership based on the visual approach to your stories. So Instagram could be a good platform. TikTok is a 15-second. So you're talking some of the really viral TikTok stuff is either a fluke or it's managed well. To get that high impact 15 seconds, you really have to work hard at it. It's not something that's just going to be hey, here's 15 seconds of me doing stupid shit and people watch.
More than once. That's it.
Yeah.
You won't get it another one. So, okay, so we have those different things. From a marketing perspective on our side, one of the things that LMBPN has had a benefit for is we just produce a shiitake ton of books. And so, for those readers who are engaged and they read a lot, they know that from us, they're going to get a certain quality of book that has a certain attitude toward it. We are stretching out, and when we do stretch out, we usually suffer challenges because it's not our typical book, right? Um, and interestingly enough, a whole family of quail are now in my backyard. So they're all over the place with their little bitty things that look like Marvin the Martian. They go up off
Yep.
the top of their head. But that's really cute. Anyway, so we have a lot of books, so we have that benefit as well. They just go from book to book to book, so that when we bring them into the fold, quite often they stay there for a long time. Um, and just, what is it we want to do? But we do actively advertise anywhere from 25 to $40,000 a month, depending on what's going on. So but we're also advertising what is the equivalent of almost 1,000 books and hundreds of audiobooks. So we're in the end we're going to get our money back. We spent all the way through COVID. We didn't reduce anything other than our um, effort related to just our cost per click. It has come back, obviously, and we're going to go into the hard time, but we will advertise through it. We'll just get fewer clicks because the cost will be more, but we'll be going through it as well. So occasionally I see people ask, is this a bad time to spend? Is this a bad time to spend? In general, quite a few people have problems when the elections hit. Once again, we're not paying any attention. We're agnostic on whatever's happening. It just means that, you know, that particular situation perhaps was bad, but we come back around, keep advertising. We'll spend into something sometimes and, keep going at it. And then we might find out that the box set is what made the money. 8 books released, uh, somewhat abysmal, quite frankly. And then the box set will take off for no good reason that we understand. Um, so we'll try new covers. Craig and I were the first ones to sit there
You
and
bastard.
yeah, yeah, we were the first ones to see a few covers, and Craig was cranking them out, and we're like, we have missed the mark on these covers, and we ended up engaging with Andrew Dobell and some models, and we're like, hey, and back then we're having to say it's going to cost us $3,000 to $8,000 to revamp all of these already, done covers, and we bid it, and even as we're releasing books, we're recovering them right behind. So sometimes it's just a new cover, a new title, a new blurb, and or a new audience. So don't give up if you believe it's a good book. Continue to work on it.
Do you are you marketing your different series in different ways?
Certainly to different people. Because I reached out to Dave Chesson a couple of weeks ago, one of the nicest guys ever, um, and asked him a few questions. Because I've been looking at catalog. One of the interesting things I do, we always say that the thing about indie publishing is that in 6 months, whatever you think you know now might be different then, but there's still a lot of value to the podcast that were back in 2015, 2016, 2017. And the things that I learned then that I've never implemented, are still rolling the back of my mind. Like, what about categories? What about, you know, multiple entry points into a system? I'm actually ambivalent on that one because I feel like I lost sales by what is equivalent to the Cartherian Gambit Book 22. I made book one of one called the Cartherian Endgame. Not really sure that was a wise move. I don't have an answer to that. And so I'm not sure that multiple entry points is a great solution if you have a very popular series. If you don't
Yeah,
have a popular series, people tend to try book one much more readily than they will book nine, and keep going. So
yeah.
just we're constantly guessing, constantly learning, and I'm really jelly of your
We're
email.
trying
Go ahead.
99% on that subject line.
Yes.
But especially there's so much background information in a 21 book series that trying to make book 22, the Cartherian Endgame book 1, fill in those gaps, it was impossible without throwing everything or having this massive info dump. So people who tried to enter there really didn't work. So
Yeah.
it's a subset of the 21 books that then moved on to Endgame 22.
Yeah.
Not bad, mind you, but it wasn't the runaway home run that Cartherian Gambit book 1 and further was. So I know you've tried a lot of different advertising schemes on the Cartherian Gambit, your main series.
That's I like how you said it almost sounds like nefarious
Ski.
schemes.
Yeah, not scams. Just different, let's say, marketing, strategic marketing approaches
Strategery.
before you did strategic. One word, strategery. The uh, but some of the other series, you have over 100 series published, and we show them different ways. But what that means is we have 100 book 1s that we can then put out there, and that's we promote the holy hell out of those book 1s. And now the new thing, complete sets. Advertising a complete set is really easy. It's so much easier than just picking a book out of the blue and say, hey, let me advertise this one book. Complete sets, like magic words in your title. How many complete sets do you have under LMBPN
Oh God.
besides my 5 or 6 that I have?
You know what? It's really hard for us to say because we had done a major push back in 2019 to go after 400 books, and we had already done a 200 book year. So by the end of 27 or 2019, we were closing in or had closed in on 800 titles. So even if we said it was 8 books per on average, that's 100. So it's
Well, and there's people like
interesting.
you and me who are bogarting the series. You have your 21 book series. I have my 10 book, then kind of 19 book series, and yeah, I mean we bogarted all kinds of stuff.
Okay, but you're gonna
um,
have to define Bogart.
it's the guy when you're passing the joint around the circle. It's the guy who takes a double hit.
Now we're into drugs too. Drugs and sex. What is on your mind, Martelle?
It's what we do when we don't have hair. It's a make up for the shortcoming. A really big watch. Um, the Somebody asked a question earlier about
Well, I see the one that was sci-fi rapid release. I don't have much to go beyond that except newsletter, shares and swaps. But I would look out if you're out in November with newsletter ads themselves. If you can get some of them to, if you're already an existing author, you have books with have good reviews, and if you don't, then you're going to have to limit which books, that they'll take. But newsletter ads to do that. What is your opinion? Well, did you have a different one than that one, Craig?
yeah, it was the one on besides BookBub, what's a good place to market a 99-cent action adventure? And that is if you can get the free Booksy deal of the day, which is for 99-cent books, but they send it to their free list. So people are looking down that list and they say, hey, this is a pretty sexy book. And you've got your ad there and they dive into it. So that is probably one of the best avenues for action adventure. I am just getting into that with my thrillers. So I'll have to get back with you because I'll be looking for those outlets as well. And I think swaps and Amazon ads are probably going to be one of your best places. But if you're targeting Lee Child, be prepared to pay like $2.50 or $5 a click to bring in a Lee Child reader into your book. So better Jack Reacher-ish, an individual who hates all the rest of humanity.
And you especially.
And your readers too, make them happy to be hated. No, it's a different style. So just make sure, hey, I like Jack Reacher, and will other readers should like my books because I like Jack. No, that's not a nice smooth transition or Venn diagram overlap. You really need to know what genre you're in. So you need to be a big reader in order to make sure that you're targeting the right thing. If you're going to spend that kind of money on clicks, you better have it dialed in.
Yeah, absolutely. We're doing more with pre-orders. I think I mentioned this in previous conversations, but we still are trying to push pre-orders. There's more opportunity with pre-orders, and so the problem is that with sheer velocity and sheer amount of books that we put out, we find that that pre-order that's going to go out in 8 weeks is less of a priority than something that's due next week. And then
Yeah.
next week keeps happening, and now the pre-order that was 8 weeks out is now next week, and we never got the pre-order done. So we're challenged in that area, so we're having to deal with that kind of stuff.
But you got all my complete set box set pre-orders. Those are in. I saw them pop up yesterday, as well as the 5 to 8 on Judge, Jury, and Executioner, my most popular series right now. That is killing it. I'm amazed on the reviews on Adverse Possession. I got up to 107 already on that
Oh
one.
yeah. Well, it's kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
Rise of
You bring something new to the genre, though, right? So you are
yeah,
a lawyer, bona
yeah,
fide, writing sci-fi, and you're bringing in something that there are no tropes for this shit out
yeah,
there. And so I think, if anyone's going to go with that, there's only you. And so
yeah.
it's
There's
fresh.
yeah. Well, Tom Shepard is also a retired Marine and a lawyer, and he writes a Star Lawyer series.
Oh, he
So we
does.
have
I did not know
swapped.
that.
He has shared mine, and I have shared his. So, but there's a very very small group of us. There's some other people who I think saw my success and tried to get into it with the Judge Dredd, but they're more mechs that go hurt people as opposed to hey, here's a woman imparting the law. Yes, yeah, she'll deliver the punishment, but it's about the law and how that applies, but in a way that's not preachy or lectury or hey, go to law school, let's learn some Latin. Yeah, cool. No, I mean we try to make it cool, unlike law school, which isn't cool at all.
There's no fiction writer alive able to make law
Have,
school
have you
cool.
have you read 100,000 pages of case law? Oh my god,
Oh man, can you
that's
imagine that?
you get to graduate just for getting there.
The Academy series that will not work. Law Academy.
Everybody's in the yeah the book where nothing happens except people pass out and sleep on their book.
So there's a
Oh my
question on, do
god.
you have any tips on recipe books?
I don't, and actually, I'm going to get the next book in the A Couple's Travel, the nonfiction travel series that I'm doing. The next book today or tomorrow, and that one is South Dakota, a trip
Hmm.
because it was supposed to be Iceland, but yeah, can't get to Iceland. So hey, let's go to South Dakota instead. My brother's wife wasn't so keen on that, especially after getting done. She said, "I'm never going camping again." So this will be the last kind of roughing it books that we have in the couples travels. Next one will be like Iceland, a cruise through the Norwegian islands, and yeah,
So, but
let's go camping.
on
I
recipe, the
don't
only
know.
thing I can think of is, I'm just going to start spouting some ideas off. If they're your recipes or a way that you've branded it fun, get with some other fiction writers and see if they can engage your recipes in their books and do something from that perspective. I think that would be engaging because as a fiction writer, I know recipes help. We've done it in our barbecue stuff, and we worked with a restaurateur um, in order to do that, Jesse Ray's Barbecue. But it would be so much easier if I had someone who really enjoyed cooking and that could bring a little bit something to it. So I think engaging from that perspective and doing cross support.
I did that. I actually made zucchini cake for my fans, and I filmed me making it. Here's this. I read through the recipe as I was going, and then I shared the recipe. Hey, here's it was Grandma's recipe, so I'm not with no copyright violation. And then I shipped out 5 zucchini cakes to fans. I did a random drawing, and hey, here you go. It was interesting, but I think one person who was big who did a lot of cookbooks was Scott Paul.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, we can no longer ask him any questions, but he did a lot of cookbooks. But then he stopped. But he was a master chef. He was a
yes,
trained master chef, and
yeah.
he did a bunch of cookbooks. But I think I'm not sure how lucrative they were that he continued because he went back to just writing fiction after doing a series of cookbooks.
Yeah, it was, and I talked to him one time about it, and and part of it for him is he just enjoyed it. He had
Yeah,
thousands of recipes, so for him to do a
thousands.
recipe book was merely open it and start grabbing stuff.
Yep,
So
copy paste.
yeah, I mean, Heather Paul, his wife, who is going to continue the legacy for Scott, I think eventually, reach out to her. Not right now, would be something to do as well. But yeah, food does seem to be another one of those things that does resonate, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to only be cozy mysteries that do it. It works in
Yeah,
other genres as well. least for
Yeah,
big
a lot.
books.
In my thriller, they love going out to eat in Vegas. I think that sounds like somebody we all know. Uh,
You.
but they mention restaurants, and they have not gone to Ping Pang Pong yet. We'll do that in book 3. But they enjoy the restaurants and going out. So we do talk. I talk a lot about food in my books because that resonates with the readers. But don't stretch it out and make it too long. But just hit them, and your readers will be like, "Oh man, I'm hungry. Grab a snack and get back to reading." And that's you don't ever want to give them a reason to put the book down. So if you use a recipe, put it in the back. Don't put it right in the middle where they're going to put the book by. Hey, let me try this recipe, and then
Bad.
spill whipped egg on the rest of the book. Sorry, can't read it. Too bad. Burned up the Kindle. Yeah, I would consider recipes as ancillary to the real product that you're trying to sell, which is your book, and
Hmm.
not a separate cookbook. I think that would be hard to do. I know there's some successful out there, but I don't know how to make a cookbook successful.
Yeah. I mean, we tend to be two fiction guys, so from that
Sell
perspective.
the fiction.
How about the comment? Did you mention it? Were we off camera or on camera? Nothing sells the first book like the latest.
Oh, that's a. We always say that, but this was off camera this time, and that's man, Judge, Jury, and Executioner. One thing we did with the marketing on that is we started 3 months ago. I started writing the book, so that book was ready a month before we published it, and I had to sit on it, which just chaps my ass. and But we set up books 1 through 9 for 99 cents, and then book 10, the new one, at full price. And here you go. Here's all the books. Buy, read. And we sold thousands of copies of that series in addition to the first book during that release. So we got a lot of new readers on board, and it's a 10-book series. And it mentions Bad Company. So, hey, there's a 7-book series over here if you like the mentions of the Bad Company in this book. So, a lot of tendrils. So, as an entry point, yes, a separate entry point, but it stands on its own enough that it pays for itself and then some. So, that was something I learned from. I think it was Glenn Stewart who started doing it. No, Jay Allen would do that. He would release a new book. He has 18 books in his one series, and what he just put all the books ahead whenever he had a new release, books 1 through whatever was preceded it, for 99 cents. And I know what Jay's making, and I'm like, man, is that working? And so we tried it, and yeah, that works. If you keep going, if you're going to have another book, if you have another series that they can buy into, if you have one series with 3 books, I think it can work because you're bringing readers on board. And then the first book, second book, and they got to read the third book. That's if you have confidence that your first book is going to entice them enough to keep reading. I think the biggest thing, and this is one thing I don't think we harped on early enough in the early life of 20 books to 50K, is it really has to be a good story. I know you said about that with Bethany Ann that okay, the editing was off a little bit because you did it yourself, and but the story was so damn compelling that people read to book 2 and then to book 3 and couldn't wait, begging you, hey, where's book 4? Where's book 5? And that the story really is king. Whether you take 2 years to write it or 2 weeks, it still has to be a good story, however you get there. And that is going to be the biggest foundation to a long-term career.
Hmm. No, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see what happens in 2021 for us because we started back in when was Edinburgh? When was that summer of
That
last
was a year
year?
ago. That's just a year ago, man.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we had,
July of last year, 2019.
all right, so somewhere around spring of last year, we started putting out what we called mega books, which were trilogies of 60 to 70,000 word books. And instead of releasing on book 1, 2, 3, and then boxed them, we actually released it as a complete set. And we had success. The problem was, actually, we did it, I guess the first one I released in February or something. The problem was the success was so sexy that we started doing it a lot. And all of a sudden, all of our trilogies were, or most of them were done this way. And then we would, do one books 2, book 3, book 4, but that's actually 12 books. And
Yeah.
so, that took a lot longer. They're spaced further apart, and we didn't pay attention to the fact that what this also does is it stops you from releasing new book ones. where if they don't like the particular series that you're doing, which is taking a long time in between each one of them, you have nothing new for them. And so we learned, this September, all of a sudden we had practically nothing new coming out, just older books. So we had, some benefit. So we had to start brand new series and get on the ball. And it took us 3 to 4 months to actually get those, coming to fruition, which we finally have coming to fruition. But now we have something like 70 or 80 books sitting in trilogies that we have to break apart. So we are already starting the process late this year and then going into next year of breaking and releasing all of these books back up. And so all of them are going to have their time in the sun, so to speak, like they would have if we had done it the normal way. And so we'll probably release at least 70 to 80 books in 2021 that all we need is covers. That's it. So we'll see what happens.
Good stuff. A publisher's perspective there on managing your overall throughput and products, because every book you put, and that's an indie with one book, 3 books, they're still your babies, but they're products. I mean, if you want to realize values for your words, people have to pay for them. You're not selling your baby. You're entertaining people is what you're doing. You're providing entertainment or education. That's what books do. Nonfiction, education. You could put some education in your entertainment. You could put some entertainment in your education, but that's what you're doing. You're an entertainer and educator, and as an author, embrace that role. And then, oh, by the way, people will pay to be entertained. So that's what the marketing side is. And the more people you can get to be entertained and like it, then that's where you get your fans and who become super fans. Tough question there. Let me show that one.
Yeah.
Emerging technology. I mean, the good thing is, I have leveraged Michael Anderle's success to talk with like Amazon, with BookBub, with Kobo, with D2D, behind the scenes. Says, hey, what's going on? What do you see? And I'm not sure we're getting any kind of good fidelity on what's up front. I think Michael, with his multi-actor approach to an audiobook. Can you talk about that and what you're doing with those, the making it like
Graphic
a
audio?
movie? Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
That's
so
it.
Graphic Audio actually reached out to us. Graphic Audio is a smaller player of multicast, multi-narration stories. And it's been fascinating to watch them go through it. And we got the actual audio clips of the final product for book one late last week, and it was our turn to go through them. And they're fantastic. They took what arguably wasn't a very long book anyway, 7 hours, I think, and it became like 6. But they add multiple people, they add all these sound effects. It's constantly happening, and they have to write a script from your book. So they have to break it apart. They have to put in what they're saying, what the narrator is saying. So now you have a true narrator. What are they breaking out of it? And it was just a splendid opportunity. But and so there are two things that are interesting here. LMBPN had already published the first 21 audiobooks. So from a licensing standpoint, multicast narration is a completely new product. So it doesn't matter if you have already licensed your first single narrator. You can still do.
Exclusive to Audible for 7 years. You don't have to
Yes.
do anything different. This is a new product. Yep.
Yes, absolutely new product. And so that's pretty fascinating to me. I had entertained ideas that we might try it until I saw how much effort it went into it. I decided no way, because it's like, yeah, one narrator. Okay, we figured out how to do that. But to truly create a new product like that, and I totally hands off to Graphic Audio. They are an amazing company to work with, and some incredible people. We'll be talking to them tomorrow. They put it out for pre-order, and then on their own website, and put it up there and sell it, and then they'll put it out to everything else. So they have their own fans. We did get to see a truck driver, who was, really supportive of Graphic Audio, because they love multicast narration, but they had listened to the Arthurian Gambit as single cast, and so they were really hyped to see that it was coming to multicast. So similar to what we have found with single cast narration and books, or I should say perhaps possibly books, where people will only read a series, book one, book two, book three. They will not read an anthology. And so when we put out box sets, you're going after predominantly a new audience. And multicast narration is the exact same situation that's going on. So they reached out to us. Thankfully, I have no idea. I should ask them tomorrow when we talk to them how they got a hold of us or why they got a hold of us. But it's a really neat situation. And if you get a chance, give them a buzz. You never know. Maybe they decide that that's what they want. But here's the thing: they're not into stories that are going to be 15 hours long. They truly want the 5 to 7 hour stories. That's where their sweet spot is. So if when I told them that we had a box or a book set, I said, but the thing is, these stories are truly 3 books in one. It's not 180,000 word one story. It's 3 stories that we just happen to put in as one. And they were like, oh, that makes a lot more sense to us.
Yeah, 60,000 words is right in that 5 to 7 hour stretch.
Yes. And yes, Elaine, it will be coming to Audible. They're going to keep it for a month before they move it over to Audible and others. And the individual
Are,
about go ahead.
are they going to go through Findaway to maybe get it to Chirp?
I don't know. I mean, they have been in the industry so long that I don't honestly know which ones that they do.
Okay.
Um, some of the like Dreamscape, when we were talking about the Opus product and Chirp and other things. So Dreamscape talks with them on Chirp. I don't know if Dreamscape would have to go through Findaway. When you have a company that large, that they are talking with Chirp all the time. Like it would
Yeah.
surprise me a little to see Dreamscape go through Findaway when they have their own infrastructure. Hoopla
Yeah.
is a part of the same company that Dreamscape is a part of. So
Yeah. When I talked to Carlin this morning, she said that all of their books come from Findaway. So I think that might be an exclusive deal between BookBub and Findaway, and not that BookBub itself is, even though they're acting as a retailer, they host the books. You can go Chirp, you listen to it on their app or online via their web, but there's no cost to be a Chirp member. So you get the emails and stuff at no cost, and you see the deals, and you see the whole portfolio of a series. It's interesting because I would think somebody like Chirp and BookBub would go direct to a place like Dreamscape or Tantor or even Podium and say, hey, we'd like to host your book, but there may be different costs involved, and I don't know what any of that backdoor dealing looks like.
Yeah, I know that we've used Publish Drive, we've used Draft to Digital for the same set of books. So I can perceive that, companies would in fact say, okay, all of these different ways, but, when you go to Findaway, you might strictly use it for Chirp, block them
Yeah.
from all the other ones that you've already done personally, some other methodology. So it is getting a little bit large and scary out there, once you leave the confines of strictly being on Amazon. But
Yep.
that's just kind of what you got to do now.
There's a lot of moving parts out there. That's right, and a
Hmm.
lot of different ways to get to find readers or listeners, and we've got a lot of books in audio, and we've got them with Tantor, we've got them Dreamscape, we've got them with Podium, we've got them through Findaway Voices, we've got them exclusive to Audible. So many different options. What are you seeing the most success with?
It depends on the series and the player. Our Witch of the Federation is doing amazing on Dreamscape, just hitting it out of
Okay.
the park. Um,
And
we
those are
released, hmm?
16-hour, 18-hour audios
Yeah, probably. I mean, they're
because they're the
180,000 word
full
books.
3 books.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
that's a hefty cost. It was a hefty cost to actually produce the books, and I'm sure a hefty cost to actually narrate the books. Um, Podium has, produced some really killer stuff, and they've, so I can't honestly say that any one is better than the other, but I do believe that we're all going to have to market our books so that the books marketing actually helps the audio side. We, LMBPN, are getting better at trying to co-market the audio opportunities along with the ebook opportunities. So, we would be marketing the hell out of the ebook, not thinking, why aren't we just putting a little logo that says audio or Dreamscape audio or, name of
Yeah.
recorded books audio, why are we not
Or second
engaging?
or a second link. I got
Yeah.
I did a couple newsletter shares, and one thing Rhett Bruno did with Ethon was, hey, here's the book. It's 99 cents, but if you buy it for 99 cents, you get it for $1.99 off Audible, and that was a separate link. Get the Audible for $1. A lot of times, I don't know what the sale price is on Audible if
They don't do it all the
when you
time.
discount your book, and that's
It's hit or miss.
that is difficult to manage an ad
Yeah,
or manage a
absolutely.
promotion, not knowing what that is. All you can do is say, hey, oh, by the way, if you buy it for free, because if you run a free deal on a Kindle exclusive book, get it free, you got 5 days, you can say, hey, if you buy it for free, you will get a discount in Audible. I can't tell you what it is, but you will get a discount.
Oh, you do? Is that, I hadn't heard that. I mean,
It's they give some discount. Sometimes it's way down, like $4.99. Sometimes it's a normal $17.99, and they'll make it $14.99 or something. But you get some kind of discount if you buy the ebook.
okay.
They say that right on their the
Oh,
product
okay.
page.
So it's just automatic.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's
yeah.
no one having to do
Sometimes it's
anything. I
more
get
than
it.
others, though. It's one of those things you just never know, and it would help to know.
I like Elaine. Elaine's like, mine are 60K-ish. Just saying. Unfortunately, that's something that, so one thing that we do is we put out a catalog every quarter. And it is a pain to put this catalog out. It is challenging to do this thing. But we do push all of our series to all of our partners every quarter. We do this. And we make it as engaging as we possibly can. And it's the effort is there, but that's one of the reasons that we've been successful in audio. Yeah, we're a seven-figure company in audio now. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
we've hit that mark. We're not necessarily annual yet, just in general. We're something.
Well, I was happy to learn that we one of our titles had earned out, and we're in the gravy stage, and that was way
Yeah.
cool.
Yes. Yes. Who's
It's
that
always
with?
good.
That was a Dreamscape book? Is that right? Or was it
That was
a?
Super Dreadnought. I think that was with Dreamscape.
Yeah.
It was in that massive 53 book deal we signed, or
Yeah.
something like that.
It was cool. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's one of those things that's
Which, of
awesome.
course, that's we had the audio deal signed for 6 books in one series and 8 books in another, and I had 5 and 7 books done, and got ghosted and had to write both 6 and 8.
Yourself.
I'm like,
Yes.
oh crap, you dick! It was, and happy because we had a contract, and this is
Yes.
usually as indies we get the benefit of, hey, I'm not going to get it done, I'll kick it down the road. Hey, we got a contract, I really have to do this, and I think that's some of the trad pub flavor we dumped on our own shoulders, and we wore it, and we got the books done, and it's like, no, not going to do that again. We'll sign deals for series that are done
Well,
or
one of the
open-ended 4 to 8 books. Yeah.
yeah, right now I just read an article this last week that talked about how audio, of course, they always talk about audio becoming, it's massive year over year. Canadian publishers in general are now publishing their own audio. They're taking that on. LMBPN for a while did our own audio, over 200 books of our own audio. We licensed them out because we figured that in general, we understand how to market ebooks. We did not understand how to market the audio. And while I can see that, perhaps we would make more money eventually, we received money. We received those advances, and we used that money to go build more books and build more of a backlist, which incidentally enough allowed us to sell more audiobooks. And so now as those things earn out over the next few years, we'll be sitting here and being able to, reap the income of what's going on and going, oh, look, we got a check. This is fantastic. It wasn't something that we planned on because we don't structure our quarterly earnings having to do with anything of expecting what income we're getting on audio. Audio is the gravy part, along with our German. Those are the gravy parts. We still focus on our core business of ebooks in English worldwide.
That's a good way to end. Focus on your core competencies, your synergies
Yes.
to have a better business. Okay, no, business terms. It leverage your strength. And on that, it's like, okay, you donate a little bit on long-term audio revenues to improve the cash flow and business foundation now. More books, probably your long-term gain will be significantly greater by licensing the production out and taking advances rather than getting all the revenue over a much longer period of time and possibly never earning out, which is that's a tough situation to be in as a business. All right, so we talked advertising, we talked marketing, we talked a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and hey, look at that! My battery is down to 19%. So I'm good. I'm good for a while still, but we'll wrap it up. And thanks everybody for listening. Any final words, Michael?
Much. I don't, other than, you know what, don't be afraid of the end of the year, the politics and everything else. It's going to be rough. It's going to be turbulent. Work your wealth self through it and, you know, ignore as much as and those of us in America, Lord Almighty, just don't stress out. You know, don't let it sap your creative energy and just decide not to, you know, get on Facebook.
My whole marketing campaign for the next month is escape fiction. Need to escape from the crap of today at Facebook. Yeah, see me on Facebook and then buy my book and get off Facebook. So, but come to Facebook to find me, buy my book, and yeah, escape fiction. That's what I'll be marketing over the next month, and we'll see if hopefully that will resonate. So that's all we got. Thank you very much for listening in. I will see Michael in a couple weeks. Cleaver, going to Cleaver for steaks.
Danielle, it's good to see you. Bye, everyone.
Yeah. Hitting stop.